Hi, and thanks for clicking through. For those of you new to my channel, my name is Andrew and I make videos around my two favourite areas, the North York Moors and here on the Yorkshire coast. Today I'm back on my doorstep here in Scarborough to take a look at one of, if not the, most iconic building in the town. This is a hotel with a very unique history like no other in the UK, and I'm going to try and weave my way through that and take a little look inside it now. This is the story of the Grand Hotel. I'll start back before this building existed. The earliest building I can find any suggestion of on the site of the hotel is a St Nicholas Church. It then became home to a hospital, I believe in the 1700s and into the 1800s. At some point, this was either changed or demolished and replaced with a new building known as Wood's Lodgings. The most well-known story of that era is that the famous author Anne Bronte died in Wood's Lodgings in 1849 whilst visiting Scarborough. She was a regular visitor to the town and she is buried less than half a mile from here next to the castle. Now for some background on the construction of this colossal building. Work began in 1863 and its original name was Cliff Hotel after this location of St Nicholas Cliff. After 2 years, the Scarborough Cliff Hotel Company, who were the group of local businessmen who had saw the potential in building a lavish hotel in this up-and-coming seaside town, ran out of money and had to sell it. They refused permission for the new owners to keep the same name, so the Grand Hotel Limited was formed. At the time of its opening in 1867, it was the largest hotel and the largest brick structure of any kind in Europe. The hotel's yellow or tawny coloured brickwork was made locally, about 10 miles down the coast in Hunmanby. Sadly, 3 men lost their lives during its construction. When I first moved here, I took a boat ride out from the harbour around the South Bay, and the first thing that was pointed out to us was how this building is designed around the theme of time. The 4 towers to represent the seasons, 12 floors for the months of the year, 52 chimneys for the weeks, and 365 bedrooms for the days. The hotel itself is in the shape of a V, widely believed to be in honour of Queen Victoria. However, that appears to have been clever PR. The more likely scenario is if they had built the hotel as a single building, then the cliff wouldn't have been able to stand the weight on it. So by building it as a V shape, it was simply good engineering, helping balance the weight out. The hotel's peak was arguably during Victorian times, when wealthy holidaymakers made up its clientele. As Scarborough was a spa town, apparently the building's original baths included an extra pair of taps so that guests could bathe in salt water from the sea. For the sake of today's guests, I hope they've got rid of those. As you can see, the building had 3 levels to it from this side. The main hotel, the extension, and then at the bottom was where the Grand Restaurant was. This bottom section was owned by the hotel at the time, who added a skating rink on top, which then became a cinema. However, the cinema didn't work out, and it reverted back to a skating rink. The hotel enjoyed a successful first few decades before being badly damaged during the First World War. In December 1914, during a raid on the town by the German Navy, the hotel was hit at least 30 times and over a dozen people were killed in the town. The bombardment by the battle cruisers badly damaged this area where I'm now stood. The attack put the hotel into financial difficulty and it ended up being sold. Then came the Second World War. Several RAF men were stationed at the hotel. Anti-aircraft guns were mounted on each of the hotel's 4 turrets, and the building was made a base for trainee cadets. In turn, the RAF could defend the hotel, preventing another incident like the one from the previous war. But this is where it gets a little more interesting. On the 18th of March 1941, Scarborough suffered its worst air raid as 98 German planes dropped high explosive parachute mines on the town. Almost 1,400 buildings were damaged or destroyed in Scarborough, and 28 people were killed in the town, with hundreds injured. However, this place was left untouched, which begs the question, why? It's widely believed that Hitler planned to use the hotel as his base in the UK, and it's reported that documents reveal that Luftwaffe pilots faced a court-martial if they drop a bomb on it. Apparently, Hitler had given strict orders to his second-in-command to spare the hotel. There have been numerous articles published on this, so I'll drop a couple of links below the video if you want to read more. Personally, I don't know what he saw in the place. In 1942, a fire unrelated to the war broke out in the lower building. After the fire, that building was declared unsafe and most of it was demolished less than a decade later. I understand the council now own this, and they recently had this wall tidied up and repointed. I'd love to have a look around and see what's still inside. During the 1960s and into the 70s, the number of guests staying at the hotel started to decline, influenced largely by the popularity of package holidays abroad. This led to it being bought in 1978 by none other than Butlins, who at the time had their holiday camp down the road in Filey. The Redcoats took over the running of the hotel until it was then sold to Britannia Hotels in 2004, who made a £7 million refurbishment of the place 2 years later and still run the hotel now. The upkeep of a place this size must be substantial, and it's obvious to say that there's certain exterior parts that aren't looking the best right now. Down to the side of the hotel here, there's an issue with subsidence, and this path that takes you down to the seafront has now been closed off because of it. When you first arrive at the hotel, you can't miss the seagulls, and their nests are perched all along the front. That isn't unique to this place though. Scarborough has an issue with the number of gulls everywhere, and really something needs to be done about it. This path takes you straight down to the seafront, and by walking down it you really get a sense of the size of this building. In 2017, this Grade 2 listed hotel was awarded and named by Historic Britain as one of the top 10 places, buildings and historical sites that tell a remarkable story of England and its impact on the world. Since then, the hotel itself appears to have been on somewhat of a decline. Several newspapers have published features condemning the conditions inside the hotel, and reviews left online by guests have been critical, to say the least. I'm not making this video to bash the hotel as it is now, but I felt I needed to include that as it brings the story of the Grand up to the present day. As promised, I'll now take a little wander around inside this icon of Scarborough and the Yorkshire coastline. It still has an impressive feel to it as you walk in here, just its size and appearance, and thinking back to how it used to be. And this staircase was inspired by the Berlin Opera House. This ballroom, which is now the Cabaret Bar, would have had an orchestra playing, and with the doors open, the music would have been heard all over the hotel. You can see the roof of this room from my aerial shots as it sits in the middle of the V. It doesn't seem that anyone knows for sure how far down this building actually goes, and just how much of it is blocked off now. In addition to the 12 levels everyone knows about, there are at least 3 basement levels, quite possibly more. And I've read there's an adjoining tunnel to another hotel, as well as a bunker under the square outside. There are people who've been down into the depths of this place, who've reported hearing a lot of running water, so it's possible there is quite a lot of flooding down there. Unfortunately, I have no way of checking any of this, but I would love to get down there and have a look around and see just how far down it does go. If anyone wants to contact me and help me out with that, please get in touch. As with most old buildings, and as you'd expect, there are many stories of the hotel being haunted, and some from recent guests. When you're walking around the corridors, you can't help but think of The Shining. I've read there are ghost hunting events and tours held here. I'd be well up for coming along to one of those with my camera to make a video to share with you on here, so I'll keep my eye out for those. One thing I feel I should mention, in light of the reviews of this place, is that while I've been walking around here, the staff and the cleaners have been non-stop. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if the place is understaffed and the people that are here are being pushed to the limits without the proper resources. Over the years, the Grand has welcomed many famous visitors, including Edward VIII, Winston Churchill and the Beatles. It's fair to say they'd probably opt to stay elsewhere in Scarborough now, but clearly the building is still as impressive as ever and has so much potential. After all, this has been the year of the staycation and return to an extent of the British seaside holiday. Scarborough is still the most visited holiday destination in the UK outside of London, and that was recently backed up when it topped a survey of the most popular places to stay in the UK. But will that be enough to entice someone to bring this place back to its former glory? A big thank you for watching this video, and I hope you've enjoyed my look into the history of the Grand Hotel and learned a few new things about it. If so, do hit the like button, drop your comments in below, and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. I'll see you again soon for the next one.